Hello, Alabama. Kalen DeBoer weighs in on rookie Alex Esparov's injury update. Is that bad? Or is there a good chance? Let's take a look at the news, but first subscribe to the channel. Among these challenges for Bama is the situation involving Alex Esparov, the young rookie punter who gained national attention while still in high school and was recruited to be part of the class of 2025. A knee injury suffered before he even arrived in Tuscaloosa, however, ended up putting a damper on his initial aspirations. Now, with Coach DeBoer offering positive updates on Esparov's recovery process, questions are beginning to arise. Will he be able to overcome the obstacle and establish himself as a key player on the team? Or do his current conditions indicate greater challenges? Kalen DeBoer, always pragmatic in his statements, seems confident in Esparov's return. During the events leading up to the region's Tradition Pro-Am, the coach made it clear that he expects to see him on the field once preseason camp begins. Alex will be cleared. That's the expectation, DeBoer said bluntly. His words convey optimism, but they also reveal practical concerns. The level of fitness Esparov lost during the spring and summer training camps is something that cannot be ignored. In a sport where every detail counts, a lack of competitive rhythm can weigh on any athlete, especially one still trying to establish himself. The coach, aware of this reality, took preventive measures by bringing in Blake Dowd, a transfer from the Colorado School of Mines, to reinforce the position while Esparov recovers. Dowd, in fact, was a standout during spring camp, showing that he has the potential to step into the starting lineup if necessary. However, that does not mean Esparov is out of the running. On the contrary, DeBoer highlighted that the rookie is in the process of developing physically and technically, being described as a strong athlete and someone whose recovery is progressing as expected. This vote of confidence from the coach suggests that Esparov will still have his chance to prove himself on the field. Esparov arrived at Alabama with high status, ranked as the third-best punter in the country by the On3 industry rankings. His career at San Joaquin Memorial in Fresno, California, was marked by consistency and talent, characteristics that caught the attention of giants such as Florida, Fresno State, and Oklahoma. However, choosing to wear the Crimson Tide uniform means embracing a unique pressure. Replacing James Burnip, who dominated the position over the past 4 years with impressive numbers, including an average of 45.37 yards per kick in 2024, is a monumental task. Burnip not only left a legacy of excellence, but also set a standard that is difficult to achieve. For Esparov, the mission is clear: recover fully, get back on track and prove he can live up to that legacy. The competition promises to be fierce, and that's something Kalen DeBoer likely sees as an opportunity to mold the team. Having options is always preferable to relying solely on one name, and Dowd's presence adds depth to the position. But at the same time, DeBoer knows that betting on young talent like Esparov is part of Alabama's DNA. The program has a long history of developing players who arrive with raw potential and leave as stars. If Esparov can overcome the physical and mental challenges posed by the injury and the competition, he could very well follow that path. On the other hand, there are questions that need to be answered. The extended absence from spring training certainly put Esparov at a disadvantage compared to his peers. Adapting to the college style of play would have been a considerable challenge even without the injury, and the time lost could amplify the initial difficulties. Additionally, DeBoer himself acknowledged that the lack of consistent work is a concern. This means that even when he is physically fit, Esparov will still need to demonstrate that he can keep up with the pace demanded by the Crimson Tide. The fact that DeBoer specifically mentions Esparov's physical progress and highlights his strength as a differentiator is an encouraging sign. He seems to be surrounding the rookie with care and attention, ensuring that the reintegration process is done cautiously but efficiently. Most importantly, the coach is not closing doors on Esparov. So he has potential on the team. It's no secret that DeBoer has brought a new energy to the team, and the fruits of that labor are already showing, especially in recruiting. The 2026 class in particular is shaping up to be one of the most promising in recent years, with 5 commitments already secured, putting Alabama at the 4th ranked in the SEC and 9th in the nation. That's no small feat in such a competitive conference, and fans know this is just the beginning of something special. Among the names generating buzz, one stands out as a true gem: Cedarian Morgan, the wide receiver from Alexander City, Alabama. The kid is a local pride, someone who brings the raw talent and passion for the game that echoes the Crimson Tide tradition. On 3, Steve Wiltfong has already put his money on the Tide, with one expert prediction pegging Morgan as a future DeBoer player. And it's not hard to see why. Morgan is a 5-star recruit according to the On3 industry rankings, ranked as the 2nd best wide receiver in the country and the 19th ranked player overall. Numbers like those don't lie. He's a game-changing athlete, the kind of player that gives opposing defenses sleepless nights. Over the past 2 seasons at Benjamin Russell High School, Morgan has shown what he's capable of. In 23 games, he's racked up 106 receptions, 1,784 yards, and 18 touchdowns. Those numbers aren't just impressive, they tell the story of a player who dominates the field, with reliable hands, explosive speed, and a natural ability to find his way to the end zone. For Alabama, which has a history of developing elite wide receivers, Morgan seems like the perfect piece to DeBoer's offensive puzzle. The thought of this young talent donning the red and white, running crisp routes at Bryant-Denny Stadium, is enough to make any Tide fan dream big. But like any good recruiting story, there's a bit of drama. Morgan recently visited the Colorado Buffaloes and, in his own words, said they had a great shot. He admitted it was his first time in Boulder and he liked what he saw. It's the kind of comment that makes an Alabama fan's heart beat faster, not with excitement, but with trepidation. After all, the kid isn't 100% committed to the Tide yet, and the competition is far from weak. In addition to Colorado, programs like Florida, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, Penn State, and Ole Miss are also in the running, all eyeing Morgan's potential. It's a battle Alabama is used to facing, but it's never easy. Still, there's plenty of reason to believe the Crimson Tide will come out on top. First, Morgan is an Alabama native. Playing for the Tide isn't just an athletic opportunity, it's a chance to represent the state, to make history where he grew up. The connection to the local community and the chance to play under the spotlight of a legendary program weigh heavily. In addition, Kalen DeBoer has proven to be a master at landing young talent, selling not only the program's tradition but also a clear vision of how each player can shine in his system. DeBoer's offensive scheme, which emphasizes dynamic wide receivers, seems tailor-made for Morgan's style. It's hard to imagine a better place for him to develop his potential and, who knows, prepare for the NFL. Morgan's official announcement is set for July 2nd, and until then, Tide fans will be watching his every move. Will this guy come to Bama? Nick Saban's possible participation in a presidential commission to discuss issues related to college athletics is a topic that inevitably generates heated debate. The legendary former Alabama coach, whose name is synonymous with success on the field, seems hesitant to embrace the idea with enthusiasm. Saban, known for his rigorous discipline and strategic vision on the field, has been cautious when commenting on the role he could play off it. In an interview with the Paul Feinbaum Show, he was blunt: he doesn't know much about the commission plan by President Donald Trump and questions whether it is really necessary. Saban's position reflects something bigger than just his personal opinion. It echoes the current state of college sports in the United States, a scenario marked by uncertainty and profound transformation. The era of nil payments has brought significant changes, but it has also exposed weaknesses in the traditional NCAA model. The rules that once kept amateurism as a central pillar have been replaced by a decentralized system, where each state sets its own laws. This patchwork of regulations creates competitive advantages and disadvantages that further complicate equity in the sport. Saban acknowledges that the problems facing college football are well known. He argues that the issue is not a lack of diagnosis, but rather the difficulty of bringing stakeholders together to find viable solutions. "I'm not opposed to players making money," he said, noting that his discontent lies with the sustainability of the current system. He believes the current model does not serve the best interests of student athletes or the sport itself. The veteran former coach has an important caveat: the risk of turning athletes into employees of the institutions could have unintended consequences. While he supports true nil payments, he distances himself from the idea of compensation based on performance or athletic results. This balanced position reflects a genuine concern for the future of college athletics. Saban knows that the sport needs to evolve, but he also understands that any changes must be carefully considered so as not to compromise its essence. Saban's suggestion of a federal framework to override the disparate state laws is a proposal that has been advocated by other sports leaders. The NCAA has lobbied Congress to do so, but to no avail. The lack of federal oversight of college sports further complicates the implementation of a unified solution. In this context, Trump's idea of an executive order raises questions about its practical effectiveness. Without a clear authority on the matter, any unilateral action could end up being more symbolic than transformative. Saban's meeting with Trump during Alabama's commencement ceremonies appears to have been the starting point for this conversation. Trump's mention of his friends as seeing college football as a mess reveals the government's interest in intervening in the industry. However, it remains to be seen how beneficial or even feasible such intervention would be. The current system, while imperfect, is deeply rooted in decades of tradition and resistance to change. Any attempt at meaningful reform will require more than good intentions. It will require consensus and collaboration among multiple stakeholders. For Saban, who has built his career molding young athletes both on and off the field, it's about more than just numbers and regulations. He understands that college athletics is a crucial bridge between youth and professionalism, and that any changes to that system must prioritize the well-being of student athletes. Whether he's leading a presidential commission or simply sharing his insights in interviews, Saban continues to influence the debate about the future of the sport. In fact, few understand the challenges and opportunities the sport faces as well as he does. I'd love to hear your thoughts.